Hello, this is SSD Conquer, and I'm going to be talking about the single-player campaign for Star Wars Battlefront 2, and some of the negative backlash that certain people have voiced regarding the new female protagonist for the Battlefront 2 campaign. Recently, I just watched a video from a YouTuber called 8 Thoughts, and he was pretty much just ranting about how that it's not realistic that there's an Imperial female soldier, that they should be doing, like, if we're going to be in games like this, they should be in realistic gender roles, and that no woman could actually be a soldier on the front line. And that the only ones who are probably transvestites. And he pretty much goes further to say that essentially that men are better than women, and for the sole fact that we have a penis and testicles, and that all women are good for is basically cooking, cleaning, and sucking dicks. I'm basically going to discuss these points and why he's a fucking idiot. And 2, I'm also going to then afterwards discuss some of the things that the first EA Battlefront didn't have that is going to be in Battlefront 2 and should have actually been in Battlefront to begin with from the get-go, as opposed to having to wait for a sequel. And also just a few things that I think that Battlefront, well, the developers should put if they want to, I guess, increase the longevity of the series and just keep it from suffering what the first Battlefront did, where about a month after the game released, that all of a sudden the amount of players playing dropped. First, I'm going to just talk about this idiot. And just point out all the holes in his fucking argument. The fact that it's unrealistic that women are in the Imperial military as soldiers or whatever. Well, one, it's Star Wars. It's sci-fi fantasy, so I don't know why you are complaining about realism when there's the Force, a mystical energy field that allows Force users to pretty much lift things with their mind, use mind tricks, and if they're like, say, Palpatine, shoot lightning out of their fucking hands. Lightsabers and blaster rifles. It's that is science fiction fantasy. So, yeah, so that argument's dumb. Then about the, just his demeaning of women, because everything else is essentially saying women suck. Well, one, no, women could totally do more than just suck dick, cook and clean. I know plenty of women that have jobs, excel at those jobs, and they don't involve any of those 3 things. And they're fucking passionate, and they're fucking fantastic at their jobs. And also, most of these women are a hell of a lot more educated than I am. 2, about women that look like they could kick ass or more than likely transvestites. No, that's flat out. Or or being in a combat role. No. Because several women that I served with when I was in the Marine Corps, they were fucking fantastic Marines. They were motivated. They wanted to fucking show that they could fucking do their damn jobs, and they did their jobs well. Granted, you're always going to see a few bad apples that just make female Marines look like fucking shit. But most of the ones I personally knew actually hated those very same females for cheating the system. Yeah, and like I said, most of them were a hell of a lot more motivated than me. I was essentially the stereotypical disgruntled as fuck Lance Corporal who was just waiting to EAS. Yeah, so there's that. And again, these are just such outdated fucking ideas that's fucking pathetic. This guy thinks he's a fucking hard ass. He even essentially said in his video that it's like, I'm a motherfucking soldier, 250 fucking pounds, you know, fucking man. And no, what he really is an insecure little fucking bitch who has to basically resort to demeaning women just to make himself feel better, and just can't accept the fact that, you know, things like women make up like half of the fucking workforce. Hell, even his statement about like 90% of the fucking people playing the game, playing games. It's talking about Battlefront in particular, but still this applies to games as a whole, that overwhelming majority of gamers are men, when actually that isn't true. According to a 2011 study by the Electronic Software Association, yeah, the ESA, and they're the guys who run E3 every year. A study from 2011 basically said that about 40% of the entire gaming population are women, and then a much more recent study that's still on the ESA website. You know, it's a pain in the ass to find. Said that about 31% of the current gaming population are women who are 18 and older. And that's actually a keyword. It's women who are 18 years old and older. So adult women. So they're not counting children. And that percentage is actually more than the percentage of males who are under the age of 18. You know, it's kind of like also like that myth of how, oh, it's only for kids, and how gaming's only for kids, and about a quarter of the gaming population is actually over 50. So he's using basically just old stereotypes for gamers. So he's completely wrong on these points. So there's plenty of, you know, so there's a much larger audience, of women in games, and that there are a lot of female gamers who also play hardcore games. You know, it's just, you know, as time passes on, more women will probably end up playing. I mean, even now, over 2/3 of American households have played video games. Yeah, but that's basically his stupid argument and my responses to those. Yeah. Now, basically, here the things that the first Battlefront suffered from was the fact that it was strictly the original trilogy. Though I'd imagine those guys who only acknowledge the existence of the original trilogy were probably still happy anyway. But most of the fucking community wanted all the eras. That wasn't in Battlefront 1. Battlefront 2 is going to have all three main eras. So that's going to help, that's definitely going to help with the game. Also, the Battlefront 1 lacked a lot of multiplayer maps. When it launched, it basically had a few maps on Tatooine, like a handful of maps on Tatooine, and a handful of maps on Sullust, Hoth, and Endor. And then it was only through the Outer Rim, Bespin, Death Star, and Scarif DLCs that they added like maybe an extra two or three maps each, and maybe a few extra heroes. Excuse me. Still, that wasn't a lot of maps, especially when you consider that the original LucasArts Battlefront games had a fair number of maps. So hopefully in Battlefront, EA's Battlefront 2, with the fact that they have all three main eras, will hopefully mean that maybe we actually get a decent amount of multiplayer maps this time around. And then I also hope that with, post-launch, that when they start releasing more maps, I hope they also start releasing maps based off of worlds from the Clone Wars TV show and Rebels. Because, Solace wasn't in any of the movies, and it was in Battlefront. And they probably used some of the old material from Legends as a basis for how they were going to design Solace. So I think they could totally do the same thing with planets in Rebels and Clone Wars. So here's hoping of that. Also, we also know for sure that they're going to have classes like in the old Battlefront games, and also very similar to Battlefield. And I feel that this will probably, at least to a small extent, promote more teamwork, because your classes are only limited into what abilities and what weapons you actually can use. So hopefully we'll foster some teamwork, like in Battlefield, to a certain extent, and even in the old Battlefront games. And also, everyone wanted a fucking single-player campaign, and thank God we're fucking getting one. I don't care that a woman is the fucking protagonist. I just want a good Star Wars story. And DICE actually proved last year that they can actually pull off a decent story if they do it right. With Battlefield 1. And thankfully, though, this time, DICE, it's not just DICE, it's also Criterion and Motive that they're working on a lot of those aspects. So all those added things, which are things that should have been in the first attempt at Battlefront by EA, but weren't. Hopefully this will help the game retain a lot of players. And then I'm also going to just mention a few things that actually I heard from Captain Shack of TheXPGamers. Very good YouTuber, very big Star Wars fan. And also just a lot of great content from him. But he was doing a video about what he thinks DICE and EA should do with Battlefront, not necessarily with this one, since there's not as much time, since we only have less than a year before the game's supposed to come out, but hopefully with maybe future titles, that maybe they bring back Galactic Conquest, and even though that they've brought back space battles in this iteration of Battlefront, I guess if you count the Death Star and Scarif DLC, they added some space battles to a degree, but in this one it's launching with space battles. But between Galactic Conquest and space battles in the original LucasArts Battlefronts, that either at the base level, something like that, but maybe more balanced, and maybe take things a little bit further, and even not just with those modes, just with the game in general. And it's very unlikely, considering the publisher is EA, and they don't tend to do, they tend to stay within the box. But considering DICE convinced EA to actually go with Battlefield 1, which was a World War I setting, and EA didn't think it would work, but it worked. Hopefully that might convince them to be a little more open to letting their developers push the boundaries a little bit. Again, I'm not expecting that to happen at all, but it'd be cool if they do that. Also, another thing that I wish they would bring back is bots, because while 40 players and even 64 players, it's fun and all, I'd love to have, bots in even the ground battles, so it would just make the battles feel that much bigger. They had AI pilots in Fighter Squadron. I don't see why they could take that further with ground battles and maybe even add more AI even in Fighter Squadron. I think it would just make the game that more chaotic. That, and also Captain Shack had also mentioned about pretty much making every battle mean something, so it's not just you play a match, win or lose, and then wait, and then just let the game load to the next match. So that's a lot of those additions he said, and I very much agree. And even I kind of had a few thoughts on that before I even saw the video. But I feel things like that, and also the things that they should have had in the original Battlefront, and are now in this one, but they should have done it in the first place. Now that they have that, I think it would help make the longevity of the game, and also just in retaining players. And it's really things like that, like gameplay mechanics, the fucking, whether it's balanced, how glitchy it is, shit like that is what makes or break a game. Not the fact that the female is the lead protagonist, because I mean, let's be honest, I'll use Call of Duty as an example. Does not have a, people only play it for multiplayer. People don't play it for the campaign at all, and also honestly most of their campaigns are rather subpar. The same thing with even most of the Battlefield campaigns. But people don't really care about that, like in games like that, since they are multiplayer focused titles. What they care about is if the game fucking plays well. That's what's gonna make or break the game. Not some stupid shit of, oh, the fucking protagonist is a fucking woman. So 8 Thoughts is a fucking idiot. He looks like a fucking middle-aged man who's trying to look like a fuckboy, but ends up just coming across as, just weird looking and just a total ass and tool. And he has like incredibly outdated views on just women and society in general. And like I said, he thinks he's a hard ass. He actually tried to call himself a soldier, when I seriously doubt he's ever fucking served a day in his life. And and he would probably be better off if he just kind of sat in his little corner where he could pretend that we were still in the 1950s and women, basically did what he wants, which is basically cook for him, clean for him, because he's probably, a lazy ass, and, suck his little tiny baby dick, because he really isn't a man, he's a fucking pussy. Just a little whiny ass bitch. So, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on him and my thoughts on Battlefront in general. I mean, it's a fun game, but the first one was a fun game, but it just a huge missed opportunity on the part of EA, because they definitely made some missteps. Well, in any case, hopefully soon I will start recording my the remaining segments of my Ghost Recon Let's Play. Yeah, I ended up taking a break just because I had been playing that game nonstop and I was getting bored of the game. Like, I needed a break. So soon I should be recording the last couple of regions in the Buchons, and hopefully I'll have them out soon. Right now I'm kind of aiming for at least one video a week, so at least there's something. But in any case, though, I'm SSD Conquer, and you all have a nice day.